Alright guys, I just want to take these few seconds just to let you guys know about something that I've been working on. Well, it's an online course which is geared towards one, new traders, persons who have no idea about trading but would like to know. Two, persons who know the basics but kind of find it challenging to be consistently profitable. And three, if you just want to sharpen your skills and have your minds blown, this is the course for you, right guys? So enough of the long chat, let's get straight into the charts. Alright guys, welcome to another highs and lows analysis of the pound Japanese yen. We're here on the weekly time frame and we're just getting a glimpse of the market structure and the price action we got last week, where we pushed up into a high at 142.67 thereabout, and we came down and closed below this strong area of resistance at 141.50 thereabout. What do I see happening or coming in the weeks to come for the pound? If I drop down to the daily time frame and I bring back on all my areas of support and resistance and chart indicators, if you're hearing some noise, that is some rain outside, right guys? So I'll see how best I could kind of ensure that my voice is coming through clear. So on the daily time frame, we've been getting support at the bottom end of the channel and resistance at the top end of the channel, and we've been functioning really nicely. So we've pushed up to the top of the channel, and currently we've seen a really strong sell-off. Then we pushed up again, had a really strong sell-off, but the bulls came into the market as we approach the bottom end of the channel. What do I see happening in the weeks to come? Provided that, well, technically we are still in an uptrend in this pair, creating higher highs and higher lows within this channel, but once price stays above this trend line, we need to be cautious of some bullish price action that could take place from the time we to these areas of support, right? However, that being said, I think we are due for a bigger correction on this pair, where we could see price break this area of support or the bottom end of the trend line, retest the area as resistance, and sell off potentially into some of these lower areas of support down here. If I go to the forward time frame, just so we could get an idea. So last week I was just looking at this kind of downtrend, and I know one or two of y'all took sells off of a retest of this area down and capitalized on those sells. I wonder how the thing is, like, I'm hearing the rain really loud, but I'm not too sure how loud it's coming through on my mic, right? But it's raining really loud. Let me just run and try to close the door quickly. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. So we're on the forward time frame, and we were kind of looking at this mini downtrend that has been carrying us down into the bottom end of our channel support, right? Coming in for next week, well, let me just take a glance at the weekly time frame one more time. Alright, we like that. We could see some ranging this week to form a doji weekly candle. However, given the strong bearish movement that we've been seeing, I think we could see a rollover to the downside. I more favor that kind of price action coming in this week. So that would be something like a retest. Alright, I'll come back to the forward time frame, but let's just look at the 1 hour, as I think that we'd see the lower highs and lower lows forming more efficiently. So here we have a high from the low down here at first, and then a higher low, and a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and now we're potentially forming a lower high. Now on market open, we could potentially push up past this lower high here and push up into this resistance zone, or even potentially form a double top formation around this area and push back down. But if we maintain this channel resistance and potentially even just push up to here even and then sell off, that would be nice as well. So we just want to prepare for all the outcomes. You just want to prepare for all the outcomes, as I like to stay within the moment and look at price action as the market gives it to me. So we may see a brief push up at the beginning of at market open, but then I anticipate a sell-off for the latter part of the week. But keeping in mind, we could see some ranging, as you remember on the weekly time frame, we could form a doji candle, but I favor some strong bearish price action on this pair. So if we could push up into one of these areas of resistance, we see the resistance forming on one of the higher time frames, like the 1 hour or the 4 hour time frame. We see some clear resistance forming. I would take sells down first to retest the bottom end of the channel, and potentially if we break that area, we could retest the area as resistance to sell it even further down. And further down meaning first, I think the first stop is 1950. Then if we break 1950, we're coming into 1950, sorry, 139.50. If we break 139.50, we're coming into 139, and subsequently all our areas of support could possibly be broken coming down. Now this won't happen within 1 week. That would mean price action over an extended period of time, right? So just for this week, I anticipate sells on this pair. Not to say that I won't take buys. I would take buys if I see price breaking up above 140, 150 and finding comfortable support around this area. I would take buys to retest the top here to create a double top at 142.50, right guys? So that's the pound Japanese yen. Let's go across to the Euro USD. Alright, let's go up to the weekly time frame to get an idea of kind of price action we've been seeing on this pair. Now remember guys, weeks ago I mentioned that we're kind of pushing up into some really strong areas of resistance on this pair, and on a monthly time frame we are in a downtrend, forming lower highs and lower lows on this pair. And this potentially is a lower high because it's lower than this previous high up on this side on the weekly time frame, right? Now, given the kind of stalling we've been seeing now, not let's just say we are still in an uptrend within this channel, this mini channel here, this zone, but if we break below this channel and get a strong bearish close below this channel and retest this area. Tyrion, come from there. My dog is trying to go in the garbage. Tyrion, don't do that. Alright, yeah, sorry about that. My dog is trying to get into the trash. So if we could break below this channel and retest the area as resistance, we could see a sell off. First area I would take note of. Now I'm gonna stay on the weekly time frame just for a minute. Because this move may not just happen in 1 week, it may happen over a series of weeks or a series of days. So the first area of support we have at 1500. Now how I got this area of support at 1500, other than me knowing that it is a strong area of resistance previously from previous videos, if we look to the left here, we see price pushed up into the zone and sold off immediately. So this was a strong area of resistance, which potentially could be a strong area of support, right? So that's the area at 1500. Second area I would look at is the area at around this wick here. Remember we're on the weekly time frame, right? So if I drop down into a lower time frame, this would look clearer as areas of resistance, right? Then we have around the zone that looks to be around 1420, and then our next area of resistance I would say would be, to be honest, I would like to call this 1400 flat, just because I know these round numbers, price tends to react really well around these round numbers. If I could change this coordinates to 1400 flat, yeah. And then too, I'm kind of aware that, you know, areas of support and resistance are like a range. It's between, so like this for me is like the midpoint of that range, and like we could be a little higher up at the 1420 as we just clicked, and then we could come down a little lower into like 113.72 or thereabouts, right? So my first area of resistance, now we need to clear all these areas of support on the weekly time frame. So what I would do now is I drop down to the daily time frame so we could get an idea of those areas of support that we potentially may be selling off into. So we have our channel here that we just saw on the weekly time frame. Now what I'm anticipating, or what I hope for, is that if we could break below this bottom trend line, retest the area as resistance, or retest, I'd say 1800 as resistance, we sell off, and well, initially I'll be looking at taking my profits as we clear each area of support. So as we clear 1800, I'm looking for us to come down into 1750, clear that, take some profit, sell it down into 1700, clear that, and then we have this really big range. You know, I've been talking about this for some weeks now. If we could clear 1700 clean and a really nice bearish reaction, or close below this region, we have a really nice long bearish run into potentially 1500. This would be a clean movement, because look at we had some really nice clean bullish candles going up, so we anticipate some clean bearish candles coming down into 1500. Now, sorry, I just got a bit distracted with something. So I'm anticipating some bearish movement on this pair. So if you could push down, break below 1700, sell this down into 1500. Now, if we come down into this region, that would just be a really big correction of this big bullish move. So while I'm not saying that the Euro USD is going into a heavy downtrend, we don't know. But in the most recent future, I think, or the most recent future, I anticipate us coming down and retesting this area, because if you look, we never had a really nice correction of this strong bullish move. So we could potentially come into 1500, we break 1500, we're coming into 1400, and the next area after that would be somewhere around 1200, I believe, or 1350. So that's what I anticipate for this pair. Now, how that would happen, the market would have to decide on what level of retracement we anticipate getting. Now, remember, we are still in an uptrend within this channel, and look, we had a really strong bullish reaction from the bottom end of this channel at the sometime last week. So potentially we could be still pushing up. What I'm giving you all is the scenarios by which as a trader you need to be aware of all the wider picture and how price is moving on the macro as well as on the micro, like here on the forward time frame. So we had a really strong bullish reaction from this area, so we could see price push up, potentially either create a double top or push up a little higher and maintain the uptrend. But from my experience, this kind of stalling, this looks to me like a bearish flag pattern. So we can, if you know about this chart pattern, I mean, I guess you could Google it, I really won't go through it, but it looks like a bearish flag pattern to me, that we could be pushing up to sell and close below this area down for a really big correction into 1500. If not, and we fail to form a lower low, meaning that if we fail to break close below 1700 or close below 1750 and sell down, we could continue this with functioning within this channel to form another higher high up into the zone. Anything else on this pair I would like to note? So I mean, we could push up into 1900, get some strong resistance around this level and sell it down from there. It all depends on what the market wants to give us. So that's the two scenarios I'm looking for on this pair. So I hope that was helpful on the Euro USD. I was kind of distracted for a minute there with my dog acting up, but I hope it was still I still went through everything if I remember correctly. Now this is the pound USD. I gave a midweek update on this pair, and I mentioned that we could be coming down to retest the uptrend line on this pair, of which we would see what price wants to do at around these regions. Now price came down, we pushed below the downtrend line, but we did not close. We actually pushed back up and closed above the trend line. Now that's really important, because I'm pretty sure there's some traders out there that would have tried to catch, like, seen price push below here and sold it, and they would have probably put their stops above here. Now seeing price push back up, and they would potentially be in drawdown right now. That's why I always admonish you guys to wait for price to close below your areas. And also look at this. I mentioned some weeks ago that even though price doesn't necessarily respect a trend line exactly, what price is actually doing is kind of the areas of support and resistance around a trend line are the areas at which prices kind of magnetize into. So these levels act as a magnet. So while for me, I think we still respected this trend line. Price just came down, retested the area of support closest to the trend line, and push back up, right? So we are still in a technical uptrend within this pair on the bigger time frames, but on the smaller time frames we are beginning to see some bearish movement coming down. We've found lower highs and lower lows on the 1 hour time frame, and currently price is coming up. If we could maintain below this most recent high, we could see a sell off to break below this trend line, retest it as resistance, and sell it down as well. Now remember, technically we are still in an uptrend, so I would be very cautious in taking sells, although I do anticipate my bearish movement. What I want to see is some strong confirmations on the 4 hour time frame and the 1 hour time frames, signifying to me that we kind of capped out at whatever area of resistance the market has decided, and we're about to sell down. So we have this nice 1 hour downtrend. If I switch to the 1 hour time frame, you see it better. Yeah, we have this 1 hour downtrend for highs and lower lows. If we maintain this trend, we could see a break of this this uptrend line for easy sell down, right? And if you see on the 1 hour time frame, we have closed below the area on the 1 hour time frame, but for me it wouldn't have been the price action I would have liked to see. To take sells, because we closed down, the following candle formed a bullish hammer, and the following candle pushed up. This trio here is a morning star formation, so it's a clear reversal sign for me. So there were no signals for sells given on this pair. But we've come up and potentially is forming a lower high, lower than this previous high here. So notwithstanding that we could push up and get some resistance at around 1.3400 to then sell off, but we'll wait to see what the market has. So we have two anticipations, but I do favor the bearish side on this pair. Moving on to Euro Japanese yen. I don't think I looked at this pair all week last week, to be honest. I've been focusing on Euro USD and the pound Japanese yen. Now, we have failed to push above 126.70 there, about a 126.80, and comfortably close above this level. So we kind of seeing price ranging, and price is kind of tidying out at around these regions. If I go back up to the weekly time frame, as I like to do my top down analysis, start from the higher time frames and come down. So on the weekly time frame here, we see a really nice shooting star, long wick, showing that we have some rejection, a really strong area of resistance at around these levels. So we could potentially sell off to form a higher low, higher than this previous low, because if we follow market structure, we push up to this region, form the high, form the higher low, form the higher high, and we could sell off to form a higher low at around these regions here. So just like Euro USD, if we close below 120, what area is this now? Anyways, my computer's kind of playing the ass a bit. Alright, if we close below 123.80, I believe, we test that area of resistance, we could sell down, but that looks like it could be some time away. Could see some ranging around this level, but we could capitalize on some sells from this region where price might push up, get some resistance at around 126 flat, and sell down into some of these regions. So I could drop to or go up to my daily time frame. As you can see, yeah, technically we are still in an uptrend, but this kind of slowing down behavior, I think that we could see some selling off. Now, in the market, there has, and I just my personal opinion. I think because the market is kind of sensing that there's some changing politically, you know, Trump is associated with a strong US economy, right? So there has been some polls running and it's an extremely tight race, but it looks as though Trump may get an edge. So investors are kind of seeing that, and we're seeing some strengthening in the US dollar, which is causing some of the other pairs to sell off, right? So USD strength, so we get some euro weakness, we get some pound weakness and things like that. So provided, what I would like to see in this pair to confirm sells, if we close below 125.20, or even let's call it 125 flat. If we close below 125 flat and we form some resistance at around this area, I think we would see some clear sells down to retest some of these areas of support down here. Potentially, we could find some support as we see these really strong bullish wicks. Not bullish candles, but the strong wicks signify some rejections at around these areas. So we could see a push up to retest the highs and then sell off. At present, I don't see this just buying back up straight up to continue bullish immediately. I do see us getting some form of correction throughout all these pairs. Not saying that is not possible, but we would need some very strong news to pump some strength into the euro and the pound. Because across all the pairs, the euro and the pound, I'm seeing some weakness. So we really need to pay attention, one, to the news. I would, and if it is I hear anything, I try to message it in the group. But other than that, I anticipate us getting some deeper corrections on these pairs to some areas of support. So I see sells, or potentially we may see some ranging for this week coming. I hope this was helpful, guys. I know I kind of lost my focus a bit there, but I hope you all followed along. If anybody has any questions, just shoot me a message and I would respond. Have a good trading week, guys.